Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Narito kayo sa Damanghas Interviews. Abay, ika-10 anibersaryo po ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. Ano nga ba ang dapat maganap? Ano ang tapos na? Ano ang bitin pa sa mga kasunduan? Panauhin po natin si Education Minister Mohager Iqbal, ang kinatawan din po ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front at chairman ng Implementing Peace Panel. Magandang araw, sir.
Magandang araw din po sa inyong lahat.
Okay. Si Mr. Iqbal, actually, hindi nyo na naitatanong. 52 years in the struggle. Sabi nga niya, lifelong daw ito. Pagkatapos mag-graduate, Bachelor of Science in Political Studies and History sa Manuel L. Quezon University, nag-master's degree pero tuloy-tuloy naging bahagi ng Central Committee at hanggang ngayon ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front at head ng Implementing Peace Panel. Paano ang celebration ng 10th anniversary ng CAB? Meron pang events?
Sa Camp Darapanan ng Moro Islamic Liberation Front, marami pong dadalo bukas, both local at national at may international personalities para gunitain po yung 10th year ng signing ng Comprehensive Agreement ng Bangsamoro.
Okay. Himayin lang nga po natin. Itong Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, kayo ay ano po, nung nagkapirmahan, after so many years na parang talagang nagne-negosasyon, ano po yung highlights? Ano ba ang dapat magganap?
To put context into our discussion, especially the specific question that you have just stated, in 1997, when we agreed to talk peace with the government of the Philippines, there was only one agenda of the negotiations, and that is how to solve the Bangsamoro question or Bangsamoro problem. For 17 long years, from 1997 up to the signing of the CAB on March 27, 2014, yun lang po ang agenda. Paano i-resolve ang problema ng Moro? And then nung mapirmahan po namin yung Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro, yun po ang susi. It's the key to solving the Bangsamoro question or problem. Kaya nakasalalay po yung faithful, sincere, na implementasyon ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro para ma-resolve at ma-address po natin ang problema sa Mindanao. And once and for all, magkaroon po tayo na tunay na kapayapaan at justisya dito sa Mindanao.
Okay. So sa madaling sabi po, ilinaw ho natin, ang covered ngayon ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region ay 6 na probinsya at 4 na milyong tao. Yun ang inyong constituents.
Tama po, almost 5 million na po ngayon.
Okay, almost 5 million. Ngayon, pag sinabi yung BARM at saka yung inyong CAB na agreement, merong pinag-uusapan na normalization process. Pakilinaw nga po yun. Ano ho ba yung dapat nakalakip doon na mangyayari?
Maganda po ang tanong para po maintindihan natin lahat. Actually, we are implementing the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. Right. And the implementation is being monitored and assessed and evaluated by the third-party monitoring team. It's a body mandated by the government and the MILF Peace Panel na sila mag-validate, mag-assess ang compliance ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas at saka MILF compliance nila sa Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. So yung po ang magmo-monitor dito. At saka 3 track po.
Okay.
In terms of implementation, may 3 tracks of implementing the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. I think the 3rd track is very unfamiliar to practically to everyone, but I think it's very important to mention it. Ang una po, yung tinatawag po namin na political track. Meron po mga agreement na hindi na nangangailangan ng batas na dapat continuous po ang implementasyon. I'm referring doon sa ceasefire agreement. And then pangalawa, yung tinatawag na ad hoc joint action group is a body mandated by the government and MILF to interdict and isolate kidnap for ransom groups in Mindanao, including yung mga drug trafficking at saka yung so-called na mga terrorist groups po. So yun po ang political track. At kasama po dyan sa political track yung normalization process po. So that's the first track. The
Okay.
second track po na ini-implement related to the CAB, yung tinatawag natin na legal track. And that's about the Bangsamoro Organic Law. Yung ipinasa ng Kongreso ng Pilipinas na tinatawag natin Bangsamoro Organic Law, creating the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Kasama po yan sa minomonitor kung how far na-implement yung batas na passed by Congress. So the third track, which is not yet popularized, but yung tinatawag natin na constitutional track. Meron kasing aspeto, there are aspects of the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro which was signed by the government and the MILF na hindi ho na-capture na Bangsamoro Organic Law. At that is about 15% po. So that would require an amendment to the Constitution. In fact, yung dalawang executive order na pinirmahan ni late President Noynoy Aquino at saka si the previous President Rodrigo Duterte, mandating the Bangsamoro Transition Commission na yung proposed nila Bangsamoro Basic Law. Kasi originally, ang tawag niya sa Bangsamoro Organic Law, Bangsamoro Basic Law. Pero nung ipasa ng Kongreso ng Pilipinas, nagiging Bangsamoro Organic Law. Ang sinasaad doon sa executive order, kung sakali yung batas na ipropose ng First Bangsamoro Transition Commission at pangalawang Bangsamoro Transition Commission ay hindi ho makumpleto yung provision ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. So yung BTC-1, BTC-2 ay binigyan ng authority or mandato through that executive order na mag-propose po ng amendment sa Constitution para po yung lahat po ng provision ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro ay ma-entrench po sa Constitution. Kaya po, ngayon sinasabayan po namin na may proposal po in the form of resolution by the Bangsamoro Parliament requesting Congress or urging Congress na isama yung provision ng Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro na hindi ho na-capture ng Bangsamoro Organic Law so that once and for all, yung Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro po ay ma-implement fully para ma-entrench mo sa Constitution. So yun po, I repeat, tatlong tracks, political track, which includes the ceasefire agreement, and then the normalization process, and then the second track is the legal track, which is the implementation of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. And the third track is a constitutional track. It's about a proposal amending the Constitution to capture yung hindi na-capture ng Bangsamoro Organic Law.
All right. Okay. Ngayon, tingnan po natin, meron hong independent reporting monitoring group kayong binanggit. Ang sabi ho nung report nila nung November 2023, sa political track, parang 50% plus ang inyong implementation process na. Pero dun sa sinabi niyang isa, I think, ewan ko kung makakapture yun ng all tracks, yung socio-economic development, parang less than 50%. Sa political track po muna tayo. Normalization means three things, di ba po? Decommission, demobilize, at reintegrate. Ito po yung mga combatants na ating dating nakikipaglaban, ngayon pasok dito sa CAB agreement. Ilan po ba talaga ang na-decommission at anong status? 26,000 combatants ba to o fewer? Kasi mukhang may duda ang mga tao sa numero. Ilan yung na-decommission, na-demobilize?
Again, Madam, I'll put context into the discussion. Ang agreement ng gobyerno sa MILF peace panels as to how many weapons to be decommissioned and as to how many combatants of the MILF who will be decommissioned. Ang proseso po, gagawa ng susulat ang MILF through the chairman of the MILF sa presidente, indicate doon kung ilan ang weapons o armas na pag-aari ng MILF at ilan ang combatant na pwedeng i-decommission. And then that has to be validated by the independent decommissioning body. Okay. So ang nilagay po namin, initially 7,500 ang armas na pag-aari po ng MILF. Kasi alam mo, yung armas dito nagagamit namin tatlong klase. Ang isa, yung MILF own. Pangalawa, yung ang mga armas na ang may-ari membro ng MILF at ang pangatlo po, yung mga armas na ang may-ari po ay mga civilian po. So,
All
siyempre, yung ang pwede lang namin i-decommission, yung pag-aari namin, di ba? Hindi namin pwedeng
ILF owned.
isabay.
All right.
So, ang number ng armas na sabi namin pag-aari ng MILF, sa panahon ni Aquino, nilagyan namin 7,000. Pero in the
Okay.
course of time, nung dumating ang si Presidente Duterte, medyo dumami po ang armas namin, kaya nagiging 7,500 po ang sinabit namin. And then, doon sa combatants, we submitted 40,000. Kasi
40.
alam po ninyo, madam, in a revolutionary struggle,
Correct.
or in a jihadic struggle, everybody is a combatant. Everybody is a combatant, especially during the height of martial law. Pagdating ng sundalo, wala man silang pinipili. Kung sino, bata, babae, matanda, able-bodied man, o kaya napakarami pong massacres dito sa Mindanao. Kaya lahat ng mga membro namin, yung able-bodied na mga kabataan, halimbawa, although we do not officially recruit child soldiers, pero nandun sila sa mga kampo, and then pag umatake ang sundalo, siyempre kasama sila doon sa pagdepensa ng mga lugar po namin. So 40,000 po. So ngayon, na-decommission na armas namin, I think more than 4,000 na.
Okay.
And then decommission combatant po namin, that is
40,000 kanyo, umpisa.
40,000, and that is 65% of 40,000. So I think
Alright.
around 26,000.
26,000. So,
26,000.
tama yung binabanggit ni Secretary Galvez. Ano po?
Oo nga,
26,000.
pero meron pong medyo hindi na level off dyan. Kasi yung una, yung tinatawag na ceremonial decommissioning, then pangalawa yung first phase, 30% to 40,000,
Okay.
and then second phase po, 35% of 40,000, and then yung third phase po, 35% of 40,000,
Okay.
that is 14,000. So
Alright.
doon sa 14,000, hindi pa po kompleto yan. Kasi meron po labing
Okay.
tatlo na
Okay.
hindi po naka-undergo na decommissioning process.
Okay.
So sabi namin, the third phase is not yet complete because mathematically, which is exact
Alright.
science, kung
Okay.
kulang ang 1,000 ng 13, hindi complete yung 1,000.
Okay.
So
Alright.
officially, especially on the side of the MILF, the third phase is not officially
Complete.
conducted.
Alright. Okay.
And then if you look at yung decommissioned combatants, yung decommissioning po, you're not just looking at the number of weapons and combatants decommissioned, but may
Okay.
kalaki po yan, yung tinatawag natin na socio-economic package.
Correct.
Unfortunately po, yung socio-economic package, sa kanilang nagkaroon ng agreement ng gobyerno at MILF last February 8, nung mag-usap po kami sa Manila. Before that, wala akong kasunduan na signed by both parties, by the government and MILF. Pero ang nangyari kasi, originally nag-offer ang gobyerno ng 1 billion, but later on parang nagdalawang isip sila, so hindi na klaro kung magkano ang socio-economic package, including 100,000 na cash at sa housing project. But in the course of time, sabi namin sa gobyerno, kailangan klaruin natin ito.
Alright.
Mahirap hindi klaro, magkakaroon lang ng problema sa huli kung wala tayong basihan.
Alright.
Kung magkano ba yung socio-economic package. And
Okay.
then fortunately, nagkaroon po kami ng agreement na pirmahan po namin to the tune of more or less mga 950,000, including 100,000 na cash at saka yung housing project.
Alright. So, Minister Iqbal, sa madaling sabi, so meron kayong sabi ninyo 4,000 plus yung baril, ano po, na MILF owned. So siguro 26,000 yung decommissioned, pero yung third phase at saka yung socio-economic package, recently lang nagkaroon ng linaw at budget release, ano po, yung DBM. Ang malinaw ho ba dito, parang yung last phase, yung reintegration. Option ho ba yun o parang if you lay down your arms, you're a combatant and nag-opt ka to be decommissioned, hindi required like i-reintegrate sa Armed Forces of the Philippines at Philippine National Police?
Medyo may dapat na may clarification dito. Kasi we do not use the term DDR.
Okay.
DDR, demilitarization, demobilization, reintegration.
All right.
That's the old formula. That's the
Okay.
old formula.
Okay, so
Because the issue of surrender, we cannot agree to that. Even if we
okay.
are joining government, we did not surrender to the government.
Correct.
Because ang negotiation is a principled negotiation at
Okay.
walang element po ng surrender. Kaya instead na demilitarization, demobilization, and reintegration, ang ginagamit po namin yung decommissioning,
Decommissioning.
decommissioning po. Kung
All right.
baga sa barko, ginagarahe lang yan,
All
hindi na
right.
magamit ng gobyerno, hindi magamit ng MR, they are going to be put beyond use under the
Alright.
care of the independent decommissioning body. So ang
Alright.
mangyari kasi rito, unang-una, yung mga membro ng MILF at isinama na namin ng MNLF, they will have an entry into the Philippine National Police. So
Okay.
hindi pa rin nasisettle yan kasi ang posisyon ng MILF, 10,000 ang magagaling sa amin, 7,000 magagaling sa MNLF, hindi ho settled yan but it is under continuing discussion. Pero
Okay.
meron initial na mga around 400 na
Oo.
kasama na po sa
Alright.
Philippine National Police. And
Alright.
then all the rest po, yun ang pinaka-importansya po ng declaration, Engineer Proclamation ng Amnesty. At
Okay.
pinirmahan po ni President Duterte at kasalukuyan.
Alright.
Meron din Engineer Proclamation, Amnesty Proclamation ni
Okay.
President Bongbong Marcos. Kasama po yan. So wala hong element ang surrender. Kasi we fought government on the basis
Correct.
of our principle for a cause, di ba? So I cannot accept na ako'y criminal, lumaban ako sa gobyerno dahil lumaban ako isang criminal. Hindi ho namin we are fighting for a cause na yung sinasabi na paulit-ulit ni President Duterte yung historic injustices committed
Correct.
against the Moro people as
Alright.
yung legitimate grievances na nagpapahirap po sa amin, especially during the Commonwealth and even the early stage of the
Independent
tawag
Republic.
dyan,
Alright.
yung republic na yung
Okay.
meron mga batas na ipinasa, especially tungkol sa lupa, na yung mga tao dito sa Mindanao, both the indigenous people at saka mga Moros, can only own 10 hectares. Samantala yung tao sa Luzon at Visayas, they can own 24 hectares dito sa Mindanao. So yun talagang masyadong matindi na operation nun, di ba?
Tama po. Actually, malinaw ho yung kwento nyo, yung historical injustice, yung oppression na yon, ng mga taga-labas ng Mindanao. Ngayon, pag-usapan po natin dun sa legal track. Ang sabi ho, may mga priority laws or codes kayo. Ano po? At mukhang okay yung performance so far. Yung administration, governance, electoral code, meron na po kayo. Pero ang mga kulang pa ho ay yung revenue code. Kasi kanina kinuwento ninyo, merong mga sa constitutional reform dapat i-integrate na nasa BOC pero hindi pa enshrined in the Philippine Constitution. Ano po yung balance nyo? Ano yung mga batas at codes na talagang hindi pa natatapos?
Unahin po natin, Madam, yung naipasa po ng Parliament. Unang-una diyan, yung Administrative Code, Bangsamoro Administrative Code, naipasa na po yan. Bangsamoro Civil Service Code, naipasa na rin. Bangsamoro Education Code, naipasa na rin. Bangsamoro Local Government Code, naipasa na rin. Naipasa na rin po yung Bangsamoro Electoral Code. So what remains to be passed by Parliament, yung Revenue Code. Kasi yung Revenue Code nangangailangan na yung dapat lahat yung mga nabanggit ko na mga codes ay may pasa muna kasi it has relations with all those codes na naipasa ng Parliament. And then aside from Bangsamoro Revenue Code, meron pa rin yung Bangsamoro Indigenous Peoples Code. At saka meron pa rin tinatawag na marami pa pong batas na dapat ipasa po namin, but ang priority na nabanggit sa Bangsamoro Organic Law, yung 6 na po yan, Admin Code, Civil Service Code, Education Code, Local Government Code, at saka Electoral Code. Yun po nabanggit sa Pero meron pa rin mga batas na kailangan na may pasa po namin gaya ng Indigenous Peoples Code po.
Alright. Bago yung revenue code, puntahan natin yung meron yatang binabanggit na Non-Moro Indigenous Peoples Code. Ano, parang ganun ho yata. Ngayon ho,
Tama.
recently nag-meeting yata tungkol dito. Ano ho yung status? Meron bang kasunduan, may approval, may suporta ba ng mga IPs sa inyong lugar? Ang inyong panukala?
Actually, ang original na authors or sponsors ng batas na yan, yung dalawang membro ng parliament na indigenous people, yung si MP uh, Ramon Piang, yung dating mayor ng North Copi, at saka si Frelin Mendoza. Tidros na po na sumiti po sa parliament, yun po ay galing po sa kanila. And then now, after the first reading, meron na pong second reading under discussion. Kaya lang po, inabot po kami ng Ramadan, yung fasting period, kaya hindi ho natapos. But immediately after the Ramadan, itatakal po namin yan, and then pipilitin po namin na maipasa po yan before the election in 2025.
Okay. Ano po yung saklaw nung panukalang batas? Kasi 'di ba po may IPRA tayo, no, Indigenous Peoples, yung informed consent para doon sa kanilang ancestral domain. Ano pa ho ang parang gusto nung batas magawa?
Yung tinatawag na governance ng indigenous people, ano yan, i-institutionalize namin yan, although it's more ceremonial in terms of real power, pero kailangan ma-institutionalize yan doon sa batas. And then in terms of yung sa mga ancestral, kasi ang definition po namin, again, I'll put context into the discussion. Kung
Okay.
pag-usapan natin ang ancestral domain dito sa Mindanao, pareho man ang karapatan namin dito. Pareho. Kasi we are all indigenous people dito sa Mindanao, di ba? Yung non-Islamized at saka yung Islamized, kami na mga indigenous people. We are native to Mindanao. We are autochthonous to Mindanao. So we both have ancestor domain. Kaya ang tawag namin dito, shared ancestor domain.
Okay.
Hindi naman pwede na sabihin natin ancestor domain ng mga non-Moro indigenous people kasi nandito naman kami. Hindi naman pwede na sabihin natin na Moro indigenous people ang may ancestral domain dito kasi nandiyan sila. We existed together all throughout history.
Alright.
In fact,
Okay.
dito sa Cotabato, we share common ancestors po. So, ang aming formulation diyan, which is under intense discussion sa parliament, instead of ancestral domain for each of the groups, ang ginamit namin na terminology, shared ancestral domain. And
Okay.
then, below that, yung tinatawag na pusaka ingat, inherited na domain.
Property. Okay. So wala na yung non-Moro IP na concept kasi shared ancestral domain ang inyo pong panukala. Ano po?
Hindi po, nandiyan din po yan.
Okay.
Kasi hindi naman natin pwede sabihin na lahat indigenous people dito na walang distinction
All right.
So, ang isa, Moro indigenous people, ang pangalawa, non-Moro indigenous people. But in terms of land ownership, yun nga, we try to be very, very precise na instead of giving an ancestral domain right to the non-Moro indigenous people, as yung Moro indigenous people, ang sinasabi namin, shared ancestral domain. Kasi we existed throughout history together.
Alright. Ngayon, yun yung revenue code. Ano ho yung medyo parang dahilan? Bakit parang mahirap yata ipasa? Ito ho ba ay dahil maraming landowners na mga politiko o pamilya sa Mindanao? Meron ho bang resistance doon? O talagang dahil sabi nila isang problem is yung parang jurisdiction, yung kung sino yung may-ari, ano yung talagang scope ng property, ano yung estimate ng real property values, ano ho yung magiging dahilan doon ng parang pwedeng pagbilis o pagbagal ng legislation ng revenue code?
Kinakailangan yung revenue code may connections po
Okay.
doon sa lahat ng ipinasa po namin na mga batas or codes,
Alright.
admin code, civil service code, education code, electoral code, local government code. May relation po doon. So yun ang unang hindi naman, I cannot use the word nagpapabagal, di ba? Because there was no deliberate and intentional na sa parliament na hindi ipasa. Pero kailangan may pasa muna yung lima or anim na codes na naipasa po namin. Pangalawa, kasi very technical po, very legalistic and very technical po yan. At saka yung revenue code po, hindi lang pinag-usapan kung ano ang gagawin namin dito sa Bangsamoro. May ano yan, principally may connection po sa National Revenue Code
National
po.
Revenue Code.
Oo.
Okay.
So yun po ang mga dahilan.
Alright.
Yun po ang mga dahilan. Ibig sabihin, kung titingnan natin ang lahat ng code na naipasa, ito ang pinakamahirap at very technical ang ito. So
Alright.
we need the cooperation and support of the national government in passing this one.
Right.
For
Okay.
instance, yung electoral code, di ba kami makapasa rito ng electoral code without engaging COMELEC?
Correct.
Kasi kanilang power yan, over election, kanilang power yan.
Alright. Ngayon, the good story that we're hearing is yung electoral code nyo mas modern pa o mas maunlad dahil sa may mga provisions na talagang innovative, ano? Katulad po nung affirmative section for women participating in party politics, in the elections, and being members of the parliament. Pakikwento nyo nga po yun. Ano yung mga highlights na talagang super good sa electoral code nyo na wala sa Omnibus Election Code ng ating bayan?
Unang-una po, ang complication po dong, if we speak about complications, ang may authority and mandate over election, Commission on Election.
Correct.
Diba? And then what we are trying to codify, if I use that term, yung parliamentary elections. Diba?
Correct.
Yung 80 member ng parliament. At saka yung mga local government executives or positions, hindi man saklaw niyan. So ibig sabihin, practically lahat ng yung provision ng Omnibus Election Law, carried over yan po, especially particularly related sa mga local government units. And then pangalawa, wala ho tayong parang reference. We are practically crafting from nothing kasi while it is parliamentary and ministerial in character, pero ang parliamentary natin dito, hindi natin pwede ikopya ang United Kingdom o di kaya kung anumang lugar na ikopya po natin doon. Kasi ito sa atin, maraming anggulo rito na angkop lang dito sa atin sa Pilipinas o ito sa Bangsamoro. So, and then another innovation, if I may call it, is that yung anti-dynasty provision po.
Correct.
Up to the second degree na relationship, both ano bang tawag yan, yung consanguinity at saka yung
Affinity.
affinity. Pero that would take effect 2028 na election.
After
Not sa 2025 po. Pero
Alright.
marami pa rin umaalsa, especially mga traditional politicians.
Pero yung sa kababaihan, meron yata kayong parang panukala na dapat may 30% membership of political parties at candidates na tatakbo. Pakipaliwanag nga ho yun. Paano yung napagkasunduan yun?
Well, the electoral code is a bill by the government of the day. It's a cabinet bill actually.
Okay.
It's a cabinet bill na ang nag-propose diyan. So ibig sabihin, ang sponsor niyan is the cabinet of the day or the government of the day. And then yung 30%, siyempre that is the consensus of the MLF-led BAM government. But there was sufficient and a real deliberatory body, idiniscuss po yan.
Okay.
Kaya it's a big concession actually. Kung titingnan natin what prevent the women running from all other forms of yung pagtakbo, halimbawa yung district representation o di kaya yung party representation at saka yung tinatawag na researches. Wala mang nagdi-disqualify sa kanila yan.
Okay.
So in practical terms, kung titingnan natin yung mga babae guaranteed na sila na 30%. Yung mga lalaki hindi mag-guaranteed ng 30%, not even 10%, hindi mag-guaranteed ang mga lalaki.
Okay.
Diba?
Alright.
So maybe in terms of probability, although ang mga kababaihan binigyan ng 30% of the entire membership ng parliament, halimbawa, pero may chance sila na mas marami ma-elect na babae. Kaya
Alright.
malaking concession po yung 13%.
All right. Okay, which never exists in the Omnibus Election Code sa atin sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, matanong ko lang po kayo, sabi ninyo may danger o parang 80 members yung parliament ninyo. Ang majority is 40 plus 1. Ang MILF ngayon ang nasa majority. Ano po yung chance na giving all concessions to the different groups, women, IPs, at yung tawag din yung traditional politicians? Ano po yung outlook sa 2025? Would the MILF retain majority control?
That's our hope. And we are working toward that kind of a situation comes the election in 2025. But the
Okay.
ball is round. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Especially that the MILF, through the United Bangsamoro Justice Party, is pushing for reforms. Pushing for reforms on the basis of the Bangsamoro Organic Law and of course on the basis of the CAB. But we're facing a status quo, very strong, malakas na status quo. Especially dito sa Cotabato, sa Maguindanao. Yung namumuno dito sa amin kung titingnan natin practically starting from the Spanish time hanggang ngayon sila pa rin na namumuno, di ba? So the status quo is very strong. And in terms of politics, they are already professionals. They know everything. The in and out, lahat alam nila yan
Okay.
So we realize that difficulty. That's why up to this moment, we openly admit that we are having an uphill fight in terms of
Okay.
election in 2025. But we are dead set. Whatever the challenges are, then we'll try. We'll try. In fact,
Okay.
kung nung umpisahan po namin ng MLL, pati MILF, hindi ba namin alam kung
Alright.
darating kami sa ganitong sitwasyon, di ba? Then
Alright.
nung mag-negotiate kami, hindi namin alam na abutin namin ito, but we pursue, we persist, we persevere, and then until finally we reach this point. Ganun pa rin
Alright.
po ang pananaw po namin.
Alright. Paki-breakdown nyo nga yung 80. Kasi may sectoral rep, may party reps, mayroong district reps.
Oo. Yung 80-member parliament, 50% of that
40.
comes from party representation.
Okay.
Ibig sabihin, 40 of 80. Di ba? That
Alright.
is 50% of 80 is 40.
Alright.
So, ang binoboto dyan, yung party, hindi tao.
Alright. Okay.
Party ang ibinoboto. Yung pangalawa, yung 40% of 80, which is 32, ang
District.
ibinoboto po yung tao, yung tinatawag na district representation.
Okay.
And then yung pangatlo, 10% of 80, which is 8, yan po ang
Sector.
sectoral representation. Babae, kabataan, traditional, religious, IP dalawa, Christian dalawa. So magiging 8 po yan. So sectors po yan. And they will elect among themselves kung sino ang representation nila. So sigurado po, yung mga indigenous people na minority dito sa amin, yung mga Christian minority dito, mayroon silang sigurado na representation na tigda dalawa po. So yun po ang paano hinahati po yung 80 member na parliament.
Okay. Ngayon, siguro talagang dapat update nyo kami dito sa Maynila, parang yung Imperial Manila talagang medyo mangmang sa naghaganap na mahahalagang usapin sa BARM. Yung party representatives, ilan na ho ba ang political parties? At paano yung accreditation process sa BARM?
Marami na po. Meron pong tinatawag na UBGP ng MILF.
Alright.
Meron Itihad ng Governor Temangura Dato. Meron BAPA by the MNLF under Muslim Ensema. Meron Mahardika under MNLF Normi Suari. Meron SIAP under Governor Adjong of Lanao. At meron pang isang political party na galing sa indigenous people. At I think around 8 or 9 have signified their intention to participate in the 2025 parliamentary election dito sa BARM.
So ibig sabihin kung 40 seats sa parties, yung 8 or 9 na yon ang maglalaban-laban for the 40 seats. Ganun ho ba? So ang mga tao po ang iboboto yung partido. Ibig
Opo,
sabihin ho nun,
opo.
how do you win seats kung kayo partido? Kasi unique ho yung BARM natin. Ito lang ang parliamentary, ang system of government sa buong Pilipinas ngayon. Ano po? So you're a very important model and experiment. Paano ho yung partido makakakuha ng boto?
Yun po ang tinatawag natin proportional representation eh.
All right, okay?
Ibig sabihin, mathematically speaking, kung meron boto na 100,000 doon sa party representation o party ang binoboto, kung ang nakuha ng UBGP ng MILF
Party.
50,000 out of 100,000 na boto for
Of 20
party
seats.
representation, so makakakuha ang MILF ng 20 seats.
Correct. 50% of 40.
Oh,
Okay.
50% o 20 seats. Kung
All
ang
right.
makuha lang ng MILF 25,000, so 1/4 of 40, which is 10, yun lang makukuha ng
All right.
UBGP ng MILF.
Okay, okay. Ngayon, yung district representatives naman, 32 sabi ninyo. Kayo ho ba'y nagbabalak tumakbo, district rep o party rep?
It's still a long way, madam. I think
Okay.
we'll cross the bridge when we are there.
All right. Ngayon, ano naman ho yung mga lugar na kung saan sabi ninyo yung traditional politicians pwedeng ngayon pa lang naghahanda na at baka medyo mas kabisado nila kung paano ang daloy ng eleksyon, kung paano ang panliligaw sa mga botante. Ano hong mga lugar yung sa tingin niyo flashpoint ng kumbaga parang pagtatutunggali ng mga makabagong politika that you're offering under the CAB and the organic law as well as itong mga traditional politicians o yung mga angkan sa Mindanao.
Tama po, pero I cannot answer that in specific, it's very specific. Pero I just give a bird's eye view.
Okay.
Halimbawa, sa Maguindanao del Sur,
Mm.
so sino ang governor dyan?
Mhm.
Sangki Mangudadato. Siyempre, by that appearance alone, so malakas sila doon.
Correct.
And then sa Lanao, ang governor si Adjong. So by appearance of it, malakas si Adjong. And
Okay.
then sa Sulo, sa Kurtan, malakas siya sa sa
Mhm.
Sulo.
Mhm.
Basilan,
Mhm.
Jim Hataman, malakas siya dyan, siyang governor. And then sa Tawi-Tawi, si
Mhm.
Governor Mang Sali.
Mhm.
So in terms of provinces, yun ang mga malalakas doon.
Yung
Diba?
anim.
Isa lang ang pwedeng sabihin na malakas kami sa Maguindanao Norte kasi yung governor dito, officer ng MILF. So we can probably assume na malakas kami rito. Siguro mga 80-20. If election were to be
Held today.
held today, we'll get
Mm.
around 70 to 80% of the votes.
All right. Ngayon, yun hong mga tinawag, sabi ninyo, dating MILF officer, ano po, meron hong sinasabing amnesty commission work na dapat maganap para yung mga dati nating mga combatants at marami daw kayong mahuhusay na mga officers ng MILF na gusto sana o nagbabalak tumakbo sa darating na halalan. Ano yung status? Medyo played ho ba yung amnesty commission work at parang nakabitin kung pwedeng tumakbo o hindi tatakbo yung mga may kasong pending?
Well, so far, wala pa pong formal na mga pangalan ng mga tao na nabigyan po ng amnesty. Still, nagsumiti po kami around 700.
Okay?
But that is an initial list. Hindi lang po yan. Marami po pong hindi namin naibigay. Kasi yung resolution ng Senado at saka House of Representatives, siguro 2 weeks ago o
Correct.
a month ago.
Oo.
So hindi pa talaga naumpisahan na yung
Mhm.
yung masinsinan na way forward. Medyo meron pang mga technicalities na dapat gampanan yan. But ang importante rito, I hope that on or before October,
Filing ng
kailangan maayos na po yan. Kaya kung kami ang tatanungin, mas maganda po General Amnesty Proclamation.
Okay.
Kasi pag individual basis yan, matagal na proseso po yan. Pero pag
Alright.
General Amnesty Proclamation, grant of amnesty, halos hindi masyadong marami ang documentation dyan.
Alright.
Kaya pag hindi po na-process ito at hindi po nabigyan ng amnesty, yung mga officers po namin at ang mga membro namin on or before October, hindi ho maka-file ng candidacy in preparation for the 2025 election.
Okay. Ibig sabihin, the field will be open for traditional politicians to dominate. Ganun ang
Which is
mangyayari.
tama po yun, which is not good because we have already signed a comprehensive agreement to the Bangsamoro and we are already part of government, although patuloy pa rin ang implementasyon ng CAB. But that would, anong tawag, disenfranchise yung
Correct.
mga MILF na already in government. So dapat po matugunan po natin ng maaga kasi magkakaroon tayo ng problema diyan.
Okay. Ngayon, sa madaling sabi o kung sakali ho, kasi October is when the filing of certificates of candidacy will take place. Ano po? Para sa May 2025 elections. Ang problema, kung hindi at matapos tong amnesty, general amnesty, gusto ninyo, para doon sa 700 na nakalista na dapat repasuhin. Pero, kung sakali man, parang medyo setback ba ito? O parang backward steps ito para dun sa ating mahalagang experiment sa BARMP?
I would not call it a setback kasi in
Mhm.
fairness naman sa government talagang seryoso po sila. Pero a process is a process. It is made up of areas of yung sa implementasyon, you
Mhm.
cannot cut corners.
Mhm.
So ibig sabihin, in fairness to government, I think tinutugunan nila seriously and sincerely yung pangangailangan. Kaya
Okay.
lang, alam mo naman ng mga bureaucratic red tape, minsan medyo mabagal yan.
Mhm.
But since there is an urgency in the situation, siguro mas maganda na medyo mapabilis. Now that the Congress has already expressed their sense in support of the General Amnesty Proclamation, so kailangan po sa implementasyon, bilisan po natin.
All
And
right.
then secondly, alam po ninyo madam, pag hindi ito ma-proceed, yun nga, sabi ko magkakaroon tayo ng problema.
Correct.
Kasi ma-disenfranchise po yung MILF, which is already part of the government in terms of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in
Oo.
Muslim Mindanao.
Which is really actually running the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, the parliament, the cabinet for the most part. Ano po? Then pagkwentuhan mo natin kasi yung CAB at yung Bangsamoro Organic Law at yung trabaho ngayon ng Bangsamoro Transition Authority parang sinasabing kinatuwa buong mundo dahil parang merong mga mechanisms para daw hindi na magtapos sa hidwaan ng napakatagal. Pero sinubuko naming tingnan mula kay Sakaria Candao, may pang-10 na po kayo kung sakali na grupo na namumuno sa peace talks, autonomy talks, etc. sa BARM. Ano ho yung posibleng mangyayari? Yung the mechanisms are moving forward or by 2025 May magkakalinawan kasi baka yun nga kung walang amnesty commission setback or actually madi-disenfranchise ang MILF at yung majority ng parliament baka mabalik sa mga traditional politicians. Ano ho yung outlook para sa inyo? Are we moving forward or are we marching in place?
The marching is in place and we are moving forward, but the road is not paved. It is full of twists and turns, humps and bumps along the way. So what's important is the two parties must overcome all these obstacles. And that's
Mm.
why I'm saying a while ago that the implementation of the CAB, the 3 tracks, would require the sincerity, faithfulness, and determination and commitment of the parties.
All
Kasi
right.
pag medyo malakas ang mga hindrances, kailangan lalong palakasin natin ang determination natin to overcome all those obstacles.
All right. Pero sa totoo lang po, parang isa ho naging problem sa pag sinabi nating BARM, dating ARM, ano po, and unfairly sinasabi nila sa Mindanao, yung eleksyon talagang problematic minsan. Kayo po'y Minister of Education. Nasa balita, at ewan ko kung hanggang ngayon parang issue pa rin, yung sinasabing ghost teachers at ghost schools at saka ghost voters. Ano po?
Siguro, palagay ko walang ghost voters yan eh.
Flying voters.
Wala akong multong voters. Flying voters na meron eh. Yung
Mm.
hakot-hakot, meron yan. Pero yung ghost alam mo naman, computerized na tayo ngayon eh, di ba? So maganda talaga yung yung computerized system eh. Pero ghost wala. Pero flying waters, lalong-lalo nang gagaling sa ibang lugar, marami po. Marami po yan. Yung ghost teachers naman dito sa amin, when I assume as Minister of the Ministry of Basic Higher and Technical Education, there was one marching order given to me by the Chief Minister, urging me or telling me or directing me to bust all the ghosts, yung ghost teachers, ghost classrooms, ghost teachers, ghost schools, etc. etc. Pero ang natuklasan ko po, I will not call it ghost teachers di ba? Pero minsan yung mga interest dito sa payroll namin, minsan na nagiging dalawa. At saka I think modesty aside, ngayon lang po ang mayroong yung ano ba, yung tinatawag natin na yung the sense of urgency na kailangan pagbutihin po natin yung Ministry of Basic Higher and Technical Education, especially in the payroll system. Kaya until now, we exerted all our efforts and energy. Pero yung reforms po namin dito, siguro hindi pa kami umaabot ng mga 40%.
Alright, okay.
Oo.
Ngayon, meron mo ba kayong nadiskubre o ilan na natanggal ng sinasabing ghost teachers at naipasara na sinasabing ghost schools?
Yung ghost teachers po, I repeat, I would not call it ghost teachers. Pero
Alright, okay.
double entry po.
Double entry.
Hindi naman masyado marami, pero meron kaming tinanggal upon verification and validation na talagang yung pangalan na yon na magkapareho ay isang tao, talagang tinatanggal po namin yon.
Okay.
Tinatanggal po namin yon. And then yung mga eskwelahan, wala naman yatang ghost schools. Pero ang meron na natuklasan po namin, meron mga eskwelahan na walang nag-aaral doon, nilipat ang eskwelahan without specific na pahintulot or authority from the ministry. Kaya yung inaayos na po namin yung lahat.
Alright. Ngayon, yung participation rate ng mga kabataan sa eskwela, tila mababa. Pag sinabi mong ARM dati at ngayon BARM, ano yung sitwasyon? Kasi kasama dito yung mga internal displacement, na mga pamilya at mga anak nila. Gaano kalaki pa hong population yon at saka yung participation rate nyo po ba tumataas o static pa rin?
I would not call it tumataas but nag-i-improve po.
Okay.
And then we all have more than 1 million enrollees po, both public and private. Dito sa
lahat
BARM
ng
po.
level? Basic?
Tama po. All levels po na yan. All levels po na yan. Kasama po ang
1
tertiary.
1 million additional o 1 million there already now? Kasi 4 million plus ang inyong
1 million. 1 million po enrollees po namin.
enrollees. Compared with fewer before?
Around 700. When I was appointed in 2019, I think the population of learners in the BARM is around 800,000
Okay.
plus. Yeah.
All right. Ngayon, sa Sinumang Palad, inabutan kayo ng COVID. Ano po? Mula noong 2019, nung una kayong nag-session sa BTA, 3 taon ang lumipas, may COVID. Ano yung naging impact? Bumagal ba ang pag-implement o you had to cope with the situation as best you could?
Tama po, hindi lang bumagal, talagang serious ang effect po dito sa amin at saka even nationally. Wala na akong face-to-face na conduct of classes. We have to rely on tinatawag na through internet, through other modes of communication. Pero hindi ho effective. Pero what can we do? Yung po ang sitwasyon. We have to cope up with the situation. We have to be creative para hindi po maantala yung pag-aaral ng mga bata. But ang effect talaga, not only in the BARM but even nationally, talagang very serious po ang impact.
Okay. Siguro hindi patas na parang ang picture pag sinabi mong Mindanao or particularly pag BARM, parang lugar na conflict ridden o parang may internal conflict na hindi umaalis. Part of the problem is parang ang higing ng mga tao hindi pa rin nabubuwag yung mga private armed groups sa Mindanao. And of course sa BARM, you have 2 of the infantry divisions out of 11 total sa buong Pilipinas. So medyo maraming sundalo, police, marami pang private armed groups. Ano ho yung sitwasyon?
Meron pong 8 elements ng normalization process. Ang isa diyan, yung constitution ng normalization mechanism. Yung
Mhm.
tinatawag natin na Joint Normalization Committee, Joint Peace and Security Committee, Joint Peace and Security Teams. Yung po ang isa. Pangalawa po, yung tinatawag natin na ah, yung confidence building measures po. Yun po ang pangalawa. Under sa confidence building measures po, yung tinatawag natin na camp transformation po. Yung
Mhm.
mga kampo ng MILF na military camps yan, then it will be transformed into a peaceful community, peaceful and productive community po. Yun ang
Mhm.
camp transformation. Ang pangalawa po sa confidence building measures, yung amnesty and pardon.
Alright.
Yung pinag-usapan natin kanina. Pangatlo po, yung transitional justice and reconciliation.
Alright.
Ano bang
Okay.
ibig sabihin ng transitional justice and reconciliation? Yung nangyari noon, yung maraming napatay, mga massacres, displacement, yung massive land grabbing, etc. etc. Kailangan pagtuunan natin ng pansin yan kasi parang isang
Correct.
tao na tinamaan ng bala, wala, hindi ginagamot, pero minsan sumasakit na rin yan. And then it can recur.
Mhm.
So yun po, yung transitional justice and reconciliation. Ang pang-apat po, yung tinatawag na disbandment of private armed groups.
Okay.
Maraming maraming mga grupo dito po, may armas, hindi lang MLF, hindi lang MNLF, hindi lang BIFF, pati yung mga politician, ang dami nilang armas. And
Correct.
those are under the category na private armed groups. And then yung
Okay.
policing po, pagpapatayo po ng policing, sa Bangsamoro, and then pangpito po, pangpito po yung redeployment of government troops. And then pangwalo po yung decommissioning of MLF weapons and combatants. Dito po sa decommissioning, dapat din po intindihin po natin. Ang sinasabi sa agreement po namin with the government, the decommissioning of MLF weapons and combatants shall be parallel and commensurate to the implementation of all agreements of the parties. So pag
Correct.
tingnan
Okay.
natin, ang decommissioning way forward po. Hindi ho parallel, hindi ho commensurate dun sa ibang elements ng normalization process.
Alright. So, ibig sabihin yung disbandment, is there anything moving forward? Kasi po, ang Mindanao, unfairly, parang talagang naging focus, ano po, ng sabi nyo, redeployment ng mga government troops, 5 sa 11 infantry division ng ating armed forces, nasa Mindanao. Sabi nyo, yung mga politiko na maraming private armed groups, nagkaroon ho ba ng movement doon? Kasi tila labas ito sa inyong responsibility, ano po? Yung gobyerno ang dapat mag-parallel effort, lalo na't mag-e-eleksyon. Ano ho yung dapat gawin o pwedeng gawin para ma-disband yung private armed groups?
Ah, klaro naman po ang proseso diyan in accordance with the annexation normalization na ang participation ng MILF diyan through the Joint Normalization Committee
Correct.
at saka
Oho.
doon sa Joint Peace and Security Teams.
Mm,
So meron
mm.
silang participation diyan. Although mainly it's a government function,
Okay.
pero ang importante doon yung sinasabi sa agreement kailangan masunod yan.
All right.
Kasi pag hindi ho masunod yan, kahit na let us assume na with all sincerity and faithfulness, ginagawa ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Pero pag hindi sinunod po yung participation ng Joint Normalization Committee at saka Joint
Okay.
Peace and Security manggagaling sa MILF, kahit na tamang-tama po yung ginagawa ng gobyerno, pero hindi ho transparent at hindi ho naukol doon sa agreement ng gobyerno sa MILF.
Alright.
Especially doon sa joint security assessment.
Correct.
Bago yung disbandment, magmi-meeting po ang representante ng government sa MILF, yung
Mm.
GNC at saka GPST. Pag-usapan kung yung security situation dito sa Mindanao in general, and hindi ba in particular.
Correct.
Pero minsan hindi masyadong gumagalaw yung ganyang paraan. Kaya yun po ang request namin sa gobyerno,
Mm.
sundin natin yung kasunduan ng
Alright.
gobyerno at saka MILF.
Okay. At sa totoo lang po, kasi medyo mga astig, no? Mga malalaking politiko ang merong private armed groups, hindi lang simpleng yung mga galing Mindanao mismo. Kasama po ba yun sa dapat i-disband yung mga license pero talagang malalaki ang bilang ng
Yung ano, tinatawag na disbandment of private armed groups, yung parang organized, may organization.
all right?
Pero yung mga armas na owned by individuals, kung tingnan natin ng kasunduan ng gobyerno sa Kaymalan, yung
Hindi yung
tinatawag natin na continuing registration.
all
Ibig
right.
sabihin, even without specifically making it very clear, yung
Okay.
continuing registration, yung pwedeng i-register,
All right.
i-register. Yung hindi pwede, hanapan ng paraan. And we suggest to the government na yung mga armas na ang may-ari, membro ng MILF, pero hindi naman ang may-ari dyan, ang MILF, at saka yung mga armas na
Private.
civilian owned,
Yan.
kailangan they have to activate or reactivate yung tinatawag na balik-bari program.
Balik
Yung
baril.
babayaran yung mga armas
All right.
na katapat nung quality ng armas na yan. Kasi pag kukunin mo na lang yan, the tendency of people na may armas, privately owned, binili yan, itatago yan, hindi yan bibigay. Yung
Pero
pag
Minister,
binayar,
Minister Iqbal, kung
sige
kayo
po.
po pa talaga napakadami ang baril na binili, sabihin na nating legal o lisensyado, syempre may paggagamitan yun. Alam nga namang itinago lang sa cabinet. Di maramang may potential na talagang siya ay mag-organize ng private armed group.
Alam mo madam, ito sa totoo, uh, this is unwritten history, pero
Correct.
it's really history. Sa
Correct.
party ng MILF, I will not speak in behalf of the MNLF. Sa party ng MILF, which originally is part of the MNLF, dalawang beses lang naman kami nakakuha ng armas outside.
Mhm.
Unang-una yun sa panahon ni Gaddafi.
Mhm.
Pangalawa, mayroong nabili kami na sa yung mga gun runner na international.
Mhm.
Pero doon sa mga estado wala mo makakabili diyan. You need yung ano ba yung end user certificate yan. Ang
Correct.
maka-access lang yung gobyerno.
Oh,
So
pero yung
ibig
mga nasa
sabihin,
sa mga sundalo, sa mga ambush, marami-rami rin.
pero limitado man yun, di ba?
Oh.
Pero
Pero
saan ba nanggagaling ang armas?
correct.
Saan nanggagaling ang armas?
Saan
Hindi
po?
mo manggagaling sa labas. Kasi kung wala kang end user certificate, di ka ba makabili? So saan
Correct.
bumili yan, di ba? Maybe,
Oh.
kung totoo, yung mga smuggling ng armas galing sa US through sa mga airports natin, but very limited yun. So saan
Correct.
nanggagaling ang armas na nabibili ng mga private arms?
All
So I
right.
cannot answer that.
All right. Pero kung hindi ka may connect, syempre mahirap po magpasok, smuggle. Kung hindi ka malaking tao, parang syempre,
Tama.
mahuhuli ka sa
Nasa
custom.
negosyo po yan eh.
Oo.
Oo.
Minister Iqbal, ang sabi mo nila, ang Mindanao, o particularly yung ARM, palagi is swing vote, kung in a hotly contested election, dahil multiple ang candidates. At ngayon, dahil midterm election po tayo, parang palagi ang Mindanao ang parang nagiging lugar kung saan sila kumukuha ng hakot na boto o ng parang suporta to tilt the election one way or another. Ganito po yung nangyari apparently nung yung mga presidente natin dati nag-cultivate ng mga political lieutenants. Ano po? Sa ngayon ho ba, may ganun pa rin sitwasyon that presidents or members of national political bodies cultivate mga allies or groups within Mindanao na parang important for keeping them in power or for re-election?
Dating gawi, mahirap iwanan yan eh.
All right.
Kasi yung traditional politics na nangyari nito noong pa man hindi pa rin naman nagbabago. Hindi pa rin nagbabago. Essentially, pareho pa rin ang takbo ng politika dito sa atin. Di ba? So, yung tinatawag na parang yung mga which is natural. Even in the most advanced countries syempre, meron din naman ganyan Maybe in terms of the rules of the game, medyo malayo ang angat nila. Pero essentially, pareho pa rin yan You need support. You need support. At saka ang pagkakaiba, which is part of our struggle here in the BAM, na supposed to be lahat ng mga political parties dito, principled meaning may plataforma.
Okay.
But dito sa Pilipinas, with due respect, halos pare-pareho naman yan. You can be Nationalista Party, can be liberal, you can be other, you can be joining other political parties. Halos pare-pareho naman ang plataforma nila eh.
All right.
Di ba?
Minister Iqbal,
And
ang
that's
problema-
why anyone can swing loyalty anytime if they want. They can be liberal at some point in time, they can be a nationalist in another time.
All
Ganun
right.
po.
Okay.
Pero dito sa sa electoral code namin po, once you are a member of a political party and then you join another political party, immediately nawala ka po doon sa nawala ka na doon sa membership ng halimbawa United Bangsamoro Justice Party. And then if you happen to be appointed na minister in any of the ministries in the BAM, automatic tanggal ka doon.
All right.
Tanggal ka
Okay.
doon.
Pero sabi ninyo dating gawi pa rin ang politika sa atin at principled at bago yung mga political parties sa BARM. Ang problema, pagka halalan, you need, of course, the connections, you need the money, parang the funds, campaign funds. Ang MILF ho ba, baka matukso naman, makipag-alliance sa mga traditional politicians. Ano po yung kasunduan sa loob ng partido, ng MILF?
Alam mo, parang negotiation yan eh.
Which
Parang
means?
negotiation. May basihan po yung pagtutulungan po. Pagtutulungan pa. And then yung coalition, hindi mangyari before. It can happen after. Di ba? It can happen after the election. Halimbawa, kasi sa parliamentary system, hindi ka nakakasigurado na sa lahat ng election you can capture the majority seats. Eh. Minsan lang 30% nakuha mo. Pero yung coalition na yan, may basihan. Hindi, it's not an arrangement that has no terms and conditions. Meron yan.
Kung meron hong trapo na mag-aalok sa inyo na alliance tayo o coalition tayo, how far would you go? Ano yung inyong susuriin na pamantayan para sabihin okay, hindi okay?
Ang pag-usapan doon kung anong basihan, anong terms and conditions eh. Yun ang pag-usapan doon, di ba? Especially in the BARM, hindi gaya ng mga advanced na parliamentary systems na meron pang another election kundi ma-meet yung majority and then they cannot form the government of the day, so magkakaroon po ng another election. Dito, kung walang makakuha ng majority since the parliament, then they have to settle it out. Wala hong pangalawang election.
All right. Okay. And sabi nila, ang parang problema lang natin is yung normalization ho ba dapat pang ma-extend kasi filing ng certificates of candidacy sa October. Tapos ang pangako nyo ho yata 6 na taon yung normalization makukumpleto o matatapos sa isang exit agreement. Ano ho yung sitwasyon? Do you need more time or can you meet the deadlines?
Actually, meron panawagan ng mga civil society organizations na palawigin pa yung transition for another extension. Pero yung panawagan na yan po, kanila po yan eh. Wala ho kami kinalaman dyan eh.
Okay.
Wala ho kami kinalaman dyan. So, sa kanila yan. Kasi we have already asked for one extension and I think it's quite too much for the MILF to add for another extension. But while we are not party to that, pero ang realidad kasi, halimbawa, yung amnesty na hindi maganap, halimbawa, so magkakaroon tayo ng problema, disenfranchisement ng mga membro ng MLF. Pangalawa, merong question sa Supreme Court tungkol sa Electoral Code. Pag ma-declare yan na ang constitutional, halimbawa, at walang election sa BARM. So ano mangyari sa atin? We are in an abnormal situation na hindi ko alam kung paano natin tugunan yan. Kasi nakasalalay sa Supreme Court kung ano decision nila.
Okay.
Ganun po yan. As to doon sa normalization, especially yung signing ng exit agreement, hindi man time-bound ang pagpirma ng exit agreement. It depends on the delivery of the government and the MILF mutually or unilaterally as validated, assessed by the third-party monitoring team with the participation of the panel of government and the MLF and the Malaysian facilitator. So
Okay.
hindi ho time-bound yan. We cannot
Alright.
force it na maglagay tayo ng timeline, pipirmahan natin. Hindi, pipirmahan natin ng exit agreement before 2025. Hindi ho ganon.
Hindi
Kung
kaya.
pero pag, hindi naman. Pwede naman mangyari yun. How soon the two parties can comply with their obligations under the comprehensive agreement to ni Bangsamoro, the sooner they can sign the exit agreement. Pero
Okay.
pag hindi sila magkasundo, halimbawa, hindi sila nag-comply, it can be beyond 2025. It can
2025.
even beyond 2028. Hindi kasi
Alright.
time-bound yan.
Okay. Minister Iqbal, ang exit agreement ho ang dapat pipirma ay MILF at yung Government of the Philippines, di po ba?
Tama po. With the
Kasi
participation of the Malaysian
Mhm.
facilitator.
Okay. Pero ang problema ho natin kung halimbawa hindi ganong palari na magkaroon ng majority ang MILF sa halalang darating. Ano ho yung posibleng maganap? Di parang draw?
Anong draw po? Magkaiba kasi
Sabihin,
yung
bitin
halalan.
yung exit agreement, yung mga commitments. Ano po? Kung
Opo,
halimbawa
opo.
out of majority command ang MILF sa gobyernong mahahalal sa May 2025. Ano ho yung sitwasyon? Di sabi ninyo parang it will be a complicated situation?
It is complicated in the sense, halimbawa, ang tinutukoy ko halimbawa, yung mamumuno sa BARM,
Ay hindi
instead,
Mm.
hindi MILF halimbawa, at gagamitin nila yung posisyon nila,
Mm.
gagamitin nila yung resources ng BARM against sa MILF, against sa MNLF halimbawa.
Correct. Mm.
So, problematic yun, di ba?
Correct.
Problematic yun.
Yan ho ba yung naaarok ng mga botante at mga mamamayan ng BARM? Kasi may alam nila yung issues at hand. Ano yung mga parang possibilities na magaan?
Maybe to a certain extent, marami nakakalam din yan, especially yung
Mm.
mga educated, oh. Saka yung pinagmamasdan nila how things are going on dito sa BARM but maturity hindi nila alam. Hindi nila
Mhm.
alam.
Okay.
Hindi nila alam.
Yan, Minister Iqbal, hindi ho ba parang ironical? Parang yung atin pong MNLF, MILF at mga parang mamamayan sa BARM, yung sinasabing historical injustice, naganap na bumulusok nung panahon ni Ferdinand Marcos Sr. At ngayon, ang parang negotiating parties, ang anak po niya, si President Bongbong Marcos. Ano ho yung pakiramdam niyo doon? Medyo tayo ho ba pinagtampuhan ng tadhana at merong ganitong irony?
Palagay ko naman on a positive way of looking at things. In fairness naman sa mga Marcoses, sino ba nag-umpisa ng peace process between
Mhm.
the government and the MNLF? No? It was the late President Ferdinand Marcos, di ba? Siya
Daffy.
nag-umpisa and then nagpirmahan po natin ang 1976 Tripoli Agreement.
Tripoli
So siya
Agreement.
nag-umpisa, di ba? And here comes the younger Marcos, si Bongbong Marcos siyang naging presidente. So yun ang we want to uh, gusto namin maipabot na yung pisahan ng tatay, yung peace agreement, kailangan nararapat na tatapusin
Mhm.
ng anak na presidente ngayon.
All right.
Following yung Tripoli Agreement. Kasi hindi man mangyari yung yung halimbawa, yung comprehensive agreement ni Bangsamoro, which is essentially about autonomy, kung wala namang basihan na naging madali as parte ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas na bigyan ng mga Bangsamoro ng autonomy, kung wala yung Tripoli Agreement of
Okay,
1976.
all right.
So let's look at it in a positive way. And I think it's all fair na ang nakikita natin sa presidente namin sa presidente talagang he will use everything in his power and authority na sinisigurado niya yung
Oo.
the gains of the peace process hindi mawawala.
Alright. Okay. Ngayon, ang isa hong kaibahan din, nung panahon ni Pangulong Duterte, MILF, mainly ano po, yung nakaupo sa BTA, BTC, BTA. Ngayon ho, nung panahon ni President BBM, naidagdag na yung MNLF ni Nur Miswari. Although may MNLF din kayo, yung SEMA Group. Ano ho yung naging pakiramdam nyo doon? Para bang medyo everybody in na sa picture? O does that make MILF lose ground?
Actually, kung titingnan natin there is no way forward for all,
Mm, mm,
especially in the case of the MLLM. Kasi
mm,
lahat ng consensus points na yung apat na consensus point na
mm,
hindi pa na-i-implement ng gobyerno as far as the MLLF is concerned, nandiyan na po
mm.
sa comprehensive agreement ni Bangsamoro. Kaya
Okay.
wala akong logical way forward sa MNLF kundi talaga magkaroon ng convergence. Kasi yung
Pumasok sila.
lahat ng kulang doon sa implementasyon ng
All right.
1996 final peace agreement with the government and the MNLF, nandiyan na po sa comprehensive agreement
All
ni
right. Okay.
Bangsamoro.
Okay.
So
Okay. Ngayon,
the
mm,
only logical way forward for all the parties, especially the MNLF, is to join hands with the MILF.
alright. Ngayon, isa hong katanungan na parang palaging siguro sa lahat naman, sa buong Pilipinas. Pag panahon daw ng giyera, may kita. Pag panahon ng kapayapaan, meron din kita. At meron din ng mga reports, although hindi verified, hindi pa confirmed, pero may mga ilang kaso ng corruption sa loob ng BARM at of course sa iba-ibang rehiyon ng Pilipinas. You run on moral governance, di ba ho? Parang transparency and accountability. Meron pa hubang kurakutan o corruption cases na kayo'y tinutugis at iniimbestigahan sa BARM?
Unahin kong sagutin yung there is business during war, there is business even
Mm,
without war. Ang pinag-usapan natin doon may mga negosyante.
okay.
Alam mo naman in every situation may opportunity na, di ba?
Right.
Di ba?
Okay.
Kung may gera, may opportunity sa mga negosyante.
All
Hindi ko
right.
naman nilalahat. Kung walang
Mm,
gera, may opportunity na rin. Oh.
mm, mm,
So, in terms of corruption, well, I can say that
mm,
there is still corruption in the
mm,
bank.
mm, mm,
I have to admit that.
mm.
Kasi corruption has many shades. Di ba?
Okay.
Even yung pagpasok sa opisina, it says na
Mm,
8 o'clock. Kung
mm.
papasok ka 9 o'clock, corruption na yun.
All
You are
right.
corrupting time. At saka with the vast numbers of employees dito sa farm,
Mm,
hindi, you cannot say na wala talagang corruption nangyari dito. But
okay.
in terms of no, the farm government, in very particular, I don't think
All
we
right.
can
Oh,
tolerate that and we will do that.
okay.
Especially sa amin, if we are in government, it was not the result of an aspiration, but
Mm,
rather it's the consequence of a long drawn out struggle, both armed and sa negotiation. Kaya
okay.
napunta po
Okay. Okay.
kami rito. Kaya kami po, Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Alam namin, yung sa buhay natin sa mundo na ito, it's just a matter of temporary na buhay natin dito. Ang
All right.
final na destination natin, yung kabilang buhay na walang hanggan yan. So,
All right.
on a personal and probably on a collective aspect, we do not want to end our life na ang mangyayari sa amin sa kabilang buhay, mapunta kami sa impyerno. Pero I would not deny na walang corruption dito. Meron, pero official na policy or tinutolerate po namin, hindi ho
All
namin
right.
tinutolerate, ay hindi ho namin ginagawa yan.
Okay. And panghuli po, Minister Iqbal. Siyempre, ang Imperial Manila, ano po, at whether that's media or citizens here, parang napakalayo ng usapin ng BARM. Napaka-unaware sa mga nagaganap sa BARM. Ang tingin niyo ho ba parang medyo general neglect, attention, focus, awareness ang mga tao dito sa Maynila at syudad kung ano yung nagaganap sa BARM kahit na tinuturing kayong model ng transition process. Ano ho yung pwede niyong masabi at hiling ninyo? Parang wala bang pakialam masyado ng mga tao dito sa Maynila at ang alam lang gulo ang Mindanao.
Kailangan natin na the journey has to continue. And not everybody is aware or interested in that journey. And
Mhm.
I think that's the significance of having event commemorating the 10th year anniversary of the signing of the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro on March 27, 2014, 10 years ago. At ang mga participant po, local, national, at saka may international personalities. At siyempre po, yung journey na ito hindi pa rin natatapos.
Mhm.
Gaya na sinabi ko kanina, mayroong 3 tracks, political track, legal track at constitutional track. But what is very important here is that the option of war, wala na ho sa amin. I hope na in the future government, hindi na ho mangyari yung pinagpapatay ang mga Moro dito at yung natitira pang lupa na sa aming pag-ari, ikukunin pa sa amin at et cetera po. Kasi pag mangyayari po yan, kahit na may agreement po tayo, siyempre, you cannot disregard yung taong bayan na mag-aalsa pa rin yan, di ba? So, back to your question, I repeat, this is a journey. It's a long journey. And then, not everybody is interested to know about what is happening in the journey. Ang alam nila, we have started the journey and we are moving forward. Sa kanila, maybe ang nasa isip na all is well. All is well dito sa journey na ito. And then, I think, modesty aside, yung ano naman, yung proseso ng gobyerno sa Kaymalip, very comprehensive. Very comprehensive. At halos lahat ng problema na naharap namin sa implementasyon ng comprehensive agreement ni Bangsamoro, may answer diyan. May agreement ang gobyerno diyan, di ba? Hindi gaya nung ibang halimbawa sa Aceh, kung di nangyari yung yung tsunami, malamang na hindi mangyari yung agreement nila, di ba? And then doon sa South America, ganun pa rin po. Sa Nepal, ganun po. Dito sa sa peace process ng gobyerno sa Kaymalip, siguro very comprehensive and well thought out, di ba? Kasi sa amin na 17 long years ito
Alright, okay. Pero Minister Iqbal, kayo po parang napakatagal din ng negotiation, ano? At ngayon, mukhang magsisimula, magre-restart yung peace talks with the National Democratic Front, CPP-NPA. Bakit sila hindi nagwagi? Kayo parang nagtapos ng maayos naman. Bakit kaya? Ano yung difference?
Well, I hope that it will not offend anyone, especially our friends from the National Democratic Front. Alam mo sa komunismo, yung mainstream na communist system, wala hong compromise. Wala hong compromise. So practically everything is tactical. Just to support yung strategic objective. So ibig sabihin, as far as mainstream na Communist Party of the Philippines, and that would probably include the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, ang kanilang pinaghahawakan ay there is no compromise between the working class and the upper class. Kailangan matalo yan matalo. And that is essentially, especially in relation to the government of the Philippines, ma-overthrow po ang Pilipinas, papalitan po ang sistema at ang magiging babo po ang komunista.
Okay.
As long as ganyan pa ang pananaw, wala hong hahatnan yung negosyasyon ng gobyerno at National Democratic Front of the Philippines. I'm not saying, because we respect them, we respect, especially sa paniniwala in the religion. Islam is very clear. Unto your religion, unto me my religion. There is no compulsion in the religion. Ganun po yan. So nirespeto ko yung paniniwala nila, but to find a mutually acceptable political solution sa problema between the government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, pag hindi magpalit yung paninindigan ng National Democratic Front of the Philippines, at saka siyempre yung government, ang accusation sa government, nag-uusap pero nagkakandak pa rin ng counter-insurgency operations. So pag hindi nagbago yan at hindi nila ma-build up yung trust and confidence, and alam mo madam, yung trust and confidence,
Malaking bagay.
it can be very hard to achieve but very easy to lose. Di ba?
Difficult to achieve, easy to lose. At may red tagging pa ho kasing nagaganap, ano?
Yun na nga po. On both sides, meron tayong nakikitang, I will not call it pagkukulang kasi I respect yung stances ng dalawang panig. But as an observer from the outside, yun ang nakikita kong problema.
Okay. Ngayon, you called yung BARM, yung CAB as a journey, and kung ito po'y journey of 100 steps, sa ngayon, nasaan po tayo? Step ano na tayo? Are we moving faster enough? Or are we slowing down the process because of factors beyond your control? Ano po yung
We-
status? Kung 100 steps ang kailangan, nasaan tayo?
We are moving forward, but there are humps and bumps along the twists and turns. There are challenges and gaps. And I think we are more than 50% in our journey. How
Oh.
far? From 50% to 100%? Well, that's the task of the third-party monitoring team. It's not for me to have that call.
All right. Okay. So on that note, abay, congratulations po sa 10th anniversary at sa inyong celebration bukas. At sana po talagang sa susunod na halalan manatiling mas maayos at mas maganda ang kabuhayan at ang karapatan at kalayaan ng ating mga kapwa Pilipino sa BARM. Maraming salamat po, Minister Iqbal.
Maraming salamat din po.